welcome to another exciting episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us. For those of you in the chat room and watching this episode is pre-recorded to fit both schedules. So everyone in the chat room, feel free to comment, ask questions. Just don't be offended if we don't respond, because we will respond as soon as we see the questions. But with that aside, I am happy and excited to welcome to the show a guest who, if you have been following along my journey, you'll recognize him because I had the honor and privilege to be on his show, interviewed when I was a part of another team, living another life, so to speak, in the paranormal field. And so I am blessed and excited to welcome to the other side of the screen, Elias Alonzo. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Sweet.
How's it going, man? What's an honor being on your show. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And can you imagine back when you were interviewing me, that one day I would be actually interviewing you?
Well, see, that's what I was thinking. Like, I was like, I wonder how it feels to be being interviewed, but interviewer. You know what I mean? Like, me, I'm just like, yeah, I'm so used to it. So used to being, on a live or I never done a pre-recording, and I'm just like shooting off questions. But now it's your turn, me to share my story, and then you can ask questions too. So man, I'm honored. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I have to thank you because you were one of the first interviews that I ever did. And
Yeah.
so it was like really kind of, it's almost like a full circle of going, yes, in the beginning I was on his show, and I'm not saying this is the end. People don't start thinking I'm retiring or anything. No, but it's just a circle of how the universe works, to where, like he was saying, he's now on the other side experiencing a pre-recording, and it is different. And so it's has its challenges and its benefits, I will admit, and I'm sure he will after this as well. But with that being said, when we were backstage, in full transparency, I like to do on the show, you had mentioned that you wanted to talk about what got you started in paranormal, doing the shows, and an experience that happened to you. So I am going to give you the floor a little bit to share what got you started with your podcast show, so to speak, where you interviewed people.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, share, my journey, and, maybe soon, I will continue, my journey again. Well, I first started my channel as a chronic pain channel, actually, um, and then I started get to know like paranormal investigators online, on YouTube and everything. Start hanging around their panels and stuff like that, and that's when I start interviewing paranormal investigators. I start getting into that kind of side where I wanted to know, what's across the veil and how the paranormal investigators communicated with the spirits and how they felt and what kind of how did they felt when people went into locations and um, like share their experience and felt their experiences while they were there and what kind of equipment they use as well. I was kind of intrigued with that, so I was interviewing what is it was Michigander man. I don't know if you know him. I was interviewing him one night. And so I think we are just talking online and on actually the interview, and I told him, man, I wish I knew, I wish I felt how it felt to be dead, how it feels, how I thought it would feel to be across the other veil, So I mean, I didn't wish, but I sort of like wanted to know. So um I'm sort of taking a little break on that because I know how it feels to be a spirit, and how it feels to know how to communicate as well through being a spirit. I was shown that too. So I'll get started in 2000, 2021 when the virus hit. I'm not gonna say because I know I don't want to Shogun taken down or anything, but
Right,
so,
the virus, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I know. They tell me I'll not say that, but okay. So I had got it was a week before, I was hanging around with my fiance, and we're out and about, I was like, okay, cool. So we were planning a trip, we're planning to, go to a hotel and go and do some sightseeing and whatever. So we were getting prepared for that week, then the following week. So then I went home, was, booking up, hotels and everything and what we were going to do and everything. So I got home and my mom came to me because at that time I was living with my mom, my sister and her kids, and my daughter at that time. Um, so my mom was like, "Well, we're sick." Which came down with that, C word, So I thought, okay, I was like, I'm have my own room, so I'm gonna stay away from you guys. So I did that, and her daughter came in and, she was like, "Do you want cookies?" But I wasn't thinking, I wasn't adding two to two together. And it was like, okay, well, maybe they cleaned the container for me and I'm good. So I'll start eating the cookies and everything else. And so I took it back to them. I was like, well, I'm going to stay away from them. That was when I got sick. So I thought, okay, I'm good. Then I start getting a cough and I start getting fevers. So then I took some medication and everything for that, and it was going good and everything. Starting with fevers actually at first, and I start coughing. It started fevers, and 4 days later, I thought, okay, well, I'm a little sicker and sicker and sicker. I thought, okay, so 5 days into that, my breathing started, like I was like, with coughing at the same time and trying to breathe, and so I was hurting a lot too. I'm normally hurt, by the way. I get back injections, and so my sister comes out the door. She goes, "I'm making dinner. Do you want some?" I was like, "Oh, cool. Why not? I'm hungry." You know what I mean? Like so.
Right.
So she goes, "Hey, your lips are blue," and my fiance was just like, "Hey, you need to go to a doctor. You need to go to the hospital." So I was like, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm a hard headed guy. At nature. Nature.
So
So
so wait a minute. Your lips are bleeding and
no,
you're
they're
just
blue.
like, I'm just
Oh,
gonna
they're
brush this off and stay home and this is totally normal.
oh, it's blue. They were blue. They were
Oh,
blue.
blue, okay.
They were starting to get bluish. But I didn't notice because I woke up like that. I woke up and I was like, okay. So then my sister calls the ambulance, and I was laying down because I was hurting and everything else. And I got up. Luckily, my mom had a wardrobe on in next to the bathroom in the hallway because it was a big old hallway, So I walked to it and I felt weak. I was dizzy. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk. And my sister got me one of her wooden chairs there. My mom was at work, and um, she called the ambulance. I was talking to the ambulance, 911. I was just like, I'm okay. I'm talking, but I can't breathe because I'm hard headed. And so the ambulance came and everything else. And I told my sister, I'm not gonna die, ain't I? You know what I mean? Like she's like, no, you're all right. Ambulance came, and there was a short Hispanic lady and a tall guy, the big guy, Then so my leg was giving out. I was going like I could not breathe. I could not. I was coughing at the same time. Um, so then I get up and she goes, "Don't worry, I got you, big fella. I got you. Don't worry." And she caught me. I was like, "Damn, I'm a big boy." I was 300 and 350 pounds that time. She caught me, and I'm like, "Wow." She goes, so then they put me on the stretcher and everything. All I remember, I'm just getting wheeled out, and they put me back in the ambulance, and they try to give me some air and everything. And all I remember is being in the black void and just like boom, and everybody's just like talking and saying, forgive me for this, forgive me, I'm sorry, God. And I mean, you can see you can see what they died of. You can see what like why they're there, and for me it was just a quick like a whoosh. So then all of a sudden I'm on the hospital floor. I'm just like curled up like just like this over my head, and all of a sudden I'm just like, you don't think nothing, you know what I mean? You don't, you're just like, like it's like you waking up there. It's like you being there, you're there. You know what I mean? Like you don't know what's going on, and then
So
all of a sudden, oh, go ahead.
I just want to make clear when you're describing this, you're talking about being out of body.
Yes,
Looking at this,
yes.
okay, I just want to make sure
Okay,
everyone's
okay,
on the
okay.
same
When I landed
page.
on the hospital floor, I seen the surroundings. But what was weird about it is the hospital floor. It looked like padding. You know how those people gone crazy and stuff like that. Like you're in a loony bin. It was padded floors, padded walls, and everything. Um, and I seen myself, and there was voices saying that, oh, no one loves you. You're not gonna be there no more. No one doesn't care about you. You're mine now. But it was that different voice where it was like three different voices in one voice. Like I turn around, there's a doctor at my bedside, and I see my body, um, and then they're trying to give me air, but it was a black male doctor. He was all like, "Well, I'm trying to make you talk right now," so it was connected to a wall. It was kind of crazy because went to a doctor one time, hospital one time because my foot, and I seen that little plug-in that was there. But anyway, so he plugged it in, and I kind of wanted to talk. He goes, "You're not there yet, buddy." And I remember hearing my phone ring. I'll get to that in a minute, but I was hearing this phone ring, but that phone was gold. It was just like it was ringing and ringing and ringing, and then it was just like on a shelf, like where like you send like posts, like you travel and you send those little postcards to people and everything,
Right.
and there was a lot of them on the shelf, on the little rack in my phone, and there was this Oriental lady, and she goes, you can't get that yet. You can't answer that phone yet. It kept on ringing and ringing and ringing, and but that phone was familiar to me in life. That phone was. So then I was laying there, and the doctors were checking my emails and everything where they're on the, and so I remember seeing doctors, coming in and out, and there was sort of like a voice, an inner voice in me saying, don't trust that doctor, don't trust that cleaning person. To me, I could tell that they were not right. One person, cleaning person, was a pedophile, and not to trust him. And there was another doctor saying that, like, well, she did this to her husband. Do not trust that doctor. What was weird about those doctors, I seen them in real life. You know, and I remember there was just people walking around, and people were just checking on me and everything. And so all of a sudden, it goes from that room to a garage. It changes, like the whole environment changes to a garage. You can feel the heat of the garage. You can smell the how a garage smells like,
Right.
and it's broken down. You're laying there. I feel like a big old lab dog sitting laying on my leg, and all the wires are on your face, you know. And then all I remember, and there was this lady looking at me at the window, and she was I guess in real life they check you out through a window because they can't get in the room because of the like C word,
Right.
So then I'm just laying there and I'm just like, to you, you're just like, whoa, you're just like, what's going on? Like, I mean, like this is your new life. You belong there. You know what I mean? Like, um, you deserve this. I mean, that's how I felt. I felt like this was your new existence. You don't remember what happened back then in your old life, what happened, And then I remember me getting up from the bed, off on the floor, still seeing me, mind you, still seeing you. And I remember it was crazy, but I remember sitting like leaning against or sitting on a washer, and I remember looking on my right and seeing all like it looked like place where people put like their nails and screws and everything. And then this lady comes in. She goes, well, let me clean, because in real life they clean you to all that sickness to come out of your throat and everything.
Right.
And to me, I had a trait in me. You can see that trait right here. They put so they could put a feeding tube down your throat and everything. I didn't. How did I know that? Like, I mean, I was not there, and they're cleaning and everything. And so I remember sitting there. She was doing that. How, I don't know. All I know, I remember looking outside, and there was like a black mesh, and you could see like people living their lives out there. You could see restaurants and everything else, and there's another doctor that came in, and she goes, and that's the same dog. That was the same nurse that was looking after me the whole time, even when I was getting better. She would come in. This is when I was still, you know, in a coma, and I remember her telling me about her life. But when she was telling me about her life, I was like, it was like not speaking. It's sort of like um, telepathy, sort of like, she was talking to you through your head, and I could see her house, the way she was explaining where she lived at in the wooded tree area in her house, and tell me about her husband and kids, and um, and deep down she wasn't happy where she was at, So that was kind of trippy. So then I remember the TV set came on, and it was mocking me how I was breathing, and there was like a person on TV, a broadcaster, and he was all like, "You see that idiot on the floor? Like this guy died. So he's with us now, and he's just mocking me." So then all of a sudden it goes from one place to another. It goes from where I'm sitting on this chair, and this voice in my head was saying, "It's okay, calm down. Don't look over there. We got you. It's okay." I felt it was God. I felt it was God that, I mean, I don't know if you're religious or not, um, but and I remember seeing a cross, a golden cross, and on the wall, and there was like a window, and there was like a wooded, like a seat where people go, your loved ones could sit at, and then they're like, "Don't look that way." I know God was telling me this. I felt a loving, caring, wonderful way how He was, how He talks to you, and He was like, "It's okay, it's fine." It's just like when you're little and your mom and the loving nature of your mother,
Yeah.
telling you it's
Very
okay.
nurturing.
Yeah, nurturing. And He was telling me, don't panic. I remember sitting in one of those chairs. You know how you sit in one of those chairs where it rides up your skin when you get off, and it hurts. I
Oh
was
yeah.
I was on one of those, and I remember I've seen like the hospital staff and everything cleaning and everything, and I remember I looked I looked to my right, and it was sort of like a no, just look to the right, and there was this guy. He was put me on this film. You know how in biology class they put you in this little film, little film thingy where you can look through a little microscope. But I was
Right.
on that microscope, and so that other vision was me and my sister getting, well, it was my sister getting married to somebody else. And I remember I was invited, but I wasn't invited. It felt like I was there in spirit, basically. It feels like I was just a little stain um, in their life. You know what I mean? I'll get to that in a little bit. So it goes from that to a dance hall. I'm there at the dance hall. It's just a quick like that. It's just a quick that you don't even know what's going on. You don't got time to you don't got time to realize what's happening. You're just there. You're just a spectator. You're there to watch. So I remember just I'm laying there, and all these people come in and say, "Oh my God, welcome! Welcome to this place. Welcome. Like you made it. Oh my God, you're famous here. You made it here. Like I can't believe it." This girl with curly hair was just like just a lot of hair in her head, just like, and she came in with glasses, and she was like, "Oh my God, like I mean, we were waiting so long for you." And it was like a dance hall. And I remember chairs being on top of stage and everything. I remember throwing up because I have braces, I have AFOs because I have foot drop, and I could take them off at night and everything. So I threw them like a football. It was nothing. I just threw them on top of the stage, and I remember they were looking after me and everything else, and that's when you know when this other female, she went outside to have a cigarette with her boyfriend on her break, but I knew what they were doing in their car. That's weird. I knew what they were doing. Um, so and then I looked further on, and the lady that always took care of me was just sitting there. And I remember, there was a bathroom right next to her station. I didn't know that. How did I know that? Kind of weird. When I wake up, I'll talk. When I tell you I woke up out of the coma, I'll tell you all this. That's weird. So I remember seeing like the I remember seeing the board that has my name on there and everything, medications and everything. I remember seeing the shelf in front of me, and my phone was in there. I always wanted my phone. That was just my way out of there, and I felt it, So they kept on changing from there, same place um, from from there to hospital room to a garage to a dance hall. I remember seeing my daughter just peeking through the hospital doors and everything. And then I remember it got to the point where it changed. The environment changed. It was hot. I drove into a garage. I was somebody else. I remember I felt like I was just this guy that thought he was all that. And I drove in and I felt like I was in the truck. I felt like I was in the F-150 truck, I mean, you could see like, like the stereo and everything. You could see the whole works of the truck. You could smell the chair, the seats, and everything. Um, and I remember a girl opened the door. It was a dark-headed girl, like Hispanic. She came in, and I thought I was all GQ, and I thought I was all that, and I was like, what? Like, you have no time to react when you're there, and all of a sudden in the far distance, it was in the garage, but there's this Hispanic guy. He looked at me with the darkest eyes, like jealous. And then I told her, I was like, you need to leave. I mean, it's kind of weird because she followed me all through my journey, in the background. I felt her. I didn't see her, but I felt her there. And then from there, I seen a Adobe house. And there was Adobe house. It was, all I know is I enter. The only thing I know about that Adobe house, I remember I was walking in this room, and those old tricycles from the 20s that kids used to use?
Yes.
I seen that there, and then I seen a window, and all you can see is just like like it was just like dawn, like it was bright, but it was getting darker. The room, I could see it was a little girl's room. Then all of a sudden, I go from that to hanging from a pipe, in this it felt like it was this dungeon, metal dungeon. These things were just spraying me with hot steaming water, laughing at me. I remember I was just hanging there, just like that, hanging. And then they throw me, and then before that they throw me in this it was sort of like a jail cell, sort of like, called a cube. And in this pod cube, I remember seeing two of the people, but I couldn't talk to them. They were non-existent to me, And then I remember I was walking the hallway, and the floor was all caked with blackness and smelled nasty and everything. And I remember looking up. I've seen the clock, and I remember hearing my mom saying, "Oh, how can we get in this bank?" It felt like a smell of a courthouse, old courthouse. So then it goes to that where I'm sitting in this chair. It changes scenarios. It goes to this one chair. I'm sitting there, and I call that one M&Ms, because on the counter there's this M&M jar M&Ms, and then you can see like their stove upstairs. The garage opens. You can see a TV set, right near where the stairs are. You can see the dining room. You can see a playground. You can see everything that looks like they had a kid there. So then all of a sudden, the cop comes up to me in front of my face and says, "It's your fault." I've been crying. "It's your fault she's gone. You died. Just because you died, this happened." And she turns me around, And I mean, instead of turning me around, my head just goes around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like I have eyes in the back of my head, basically. And then all of a sudden that changes. That changes where in the security room. And there was these metal doors and everything. And in this security guard, he was sitting there. And when he was sitting there, um, in my mind, it was sort of like, don't let him go outside, because if he goes outside, something's going to happen to this guard. You know, so um, all I know is that changed from me going into a hole, like it was just it was sort of like not it was sort of like a dirt hole. It was just going in. It was going fast. It was like whew, like fast, and I made it. So, and then these people were building like a bridge. It was, to me, it felt like it was 1800, 18 something, because they were putting dirt in this brown sacks, and then they both looked at me with dark eyes and they said, "You don't belong here." They're like, "How about we give you some money and go back?" So I was like, "Money?" I was okay, whatever. So I go back in this tunnel. You know, I'm in this I'm in this like nasty dungeon looking thing. There's these Nazis sitting there, and they're on these old computers, type like pressing buttons, you know. And you could tell it's a basement dungeon. You know, you can see you can see the windows that were dirty, nasty, you know, dirt and everything. And there was this lady sitting there on this little bench looking thing, and she looked at me. She had her kid, and she goes, "You don't belong here. What are you doing here?" So then I go from there. I'm sitting in this van. I got a nail stuck on my foot, and outside the window, they're having a good old time in this mansion. So then all of a sudden, like I'm calling for help. I couldn't. I'm done. I just I just I didn't know what was going on. I mean, my mind was just like I didn't think nothing. I was just like, you know, this is my existence. Like, I mean, this is my new life. You know. Um, so then it took me to inside a cave, and there was this Native American sitting there, you know, Indian style. So then it took me there, and the wall, I mean, the cave starts crumbling like that, real crumbling. So then he um he tells me he didn't tell me nothing. Everything it was just all mental, like it was just all you know telepathy. I mean, the most beautiful trees you can ever see. I can smell them. You know, no, the grass and everything else. I mean, just everything. And in the back, there was this blue river, and the boat was like in the 1800s, 1700s, and there was this thing flying, you know, like above, um, and I felt it was getting cold. He was he was laying back on a a formation like rock, and all full entire, like you know, there's feathers and everything. And this lady comes in and she goes, "You need to eat." And I said, "I can't eat yet. I think if I would have ate, I would have died. You know, if I would have ate." So then I remember leaving. I mean, what the most weirdest thing was there was cameras outside. I don't know why there was like not cameras, but like you know, surveillance cameras. You know,
Right.
um, and also it it it's just weird. It's I mean, I remember after that I was laying back, and I remember you know seeing like it was like a lot of knickknacks, you know, in the ceiling and everything. And but it was like it was going like a little like there was a lot of knickknacks going in a little like a little round thing. You know what I mean? Like it was just
Like a
like
vortex.
oh, yeah, vortex. It was a lot of knickknacks. I don't know if they're souls or what. And then two doctors came in, and they came in with the sonogram, sort of like they're like, "We found out what your problem was. It's all in your mind." And then they told me this is what happened to you. They lied to me. They said, and to me when they showed me, it was like a vision. Like I was coming out of the store, I got hit by a car, I got hit in the head. They called the ambulance. That's why I'm there. And I'm just like, they're telling me a lie. So then all of a sudden, I'm in this courthouse again, and there was this evil spirit that was. It looked like a courthouse. Like it looked like marble. Like everything was marble, and there was a spirit on top, like second floor, and I can like, wow, he's just this awful feeling, and somebody was telling me, if you do this evil thing, if you shoot this person, we'll let you go back, and very convincing. So then, like, got the gun and I let it go, and all of a sudden the cops came. They're like, ha 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 ha, you think we're gonna let you go? They're like, you're ours. We lied to you. Like, there was like a bunch of cops coming in, just laughing at me. So then I left. It went from that scenario to I was in one of those shipping, where they ship goods all across the world. I was in one of them. I landed right there. I couldn't move. I couldn't, and people were just sitting there eating, looking at me in the trash dumpster. They were just looking at me, and I was just like, "Hello, I need your help," but I couldn't talk. It was all telepathy. They were just laughing at me. They were like, "You deserve it. You deserve everything you get. You deserve this, basically. You belong there. Basically, you're trash. Basically, I could feel that. you know. And then all of a sudden the door opens. I could see outside, but it was really dark. It was really like the ground was just like black. You know what I mean? The thickness of black. And um, all of a sudden, like I'm in this person's bedroom, and you can see the TV set and everything else. And I remember people doing their own thing and everything. Um, I remember there's females next to me. I feel like it was my brother's house, but it wasn't. And I remember just feeling lost, and I remember just thinking, "Wow, like, is this it?" Like, I mean, it felt like it was despair. Like, it was like, you don't remember nothing you did back then. Like, it was just like, is this my life right now? From that to this. So then all of a sudden it was just like a swoosh, like, come here, sort of like that. And all of a sudden, um, I'm laying there, and this doctor's putting stuff over my body. I could feel this calculations, going inside my body. And I remember looking up, and there was something like some kind of like um, saying on this wall or this little wall light or whatever. And they said, okay. And they're like, they're telling my mom, they're like, because my mom, she was the one that took care of me and everything, and she had that written whatever thing saying that, like, whatever happens to me, like, but she was the one
The
telling
power of attorney.
the power of attorney, but she was that those things were telling lies, saying that, like, she was the one that's telling the doctors to do those kind of things. So I remember them putting me on a shelf like a doll. I felt like a doll. I felt like they were like, "You're gonna be okay." I remember there was a fan next to me. There was someone next to me. I think it was God. God was next to me, and I remember seeing certain people. I felt that was just like didn't was less deserving of why I was here, being tortured. And then I remember looking up, and it was New Year's Eve. I felt like that. I felt like I was downtown Austin. I mean, to describe that feeling of being put there like a doll, it was the most scariest, loneliest feeling that no one could ever do. I think in life, my family always treated me like I was nothing. Like I was just, I mean, I was getting taken advantage. I didn't get cared about. I got treated like dirt. Like my own mother treated me like dirt, still does. You know, um, but I remember from there, I ended up in a room, and I remember seeing myself like I was on top of myself, and my trait came out. I didn't know I was in a coma. I didn't know I had a trait, mind you. I didn't know none of that. And then I remember it was kind of dumb, but it looked like it was like a popsicle stick. It was dumb, but it was hanging. And then I remember seeing through a window, it was Austin. I remember it looked like the Austin, Austin buildings. And I was like, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Okay, so we're gonna take a short little break. Okay, we're back.
Sorry about that. This is my stepdaughter. Sorry. Okay, so
That's all right.
I was laying there, and I was like, "Don't y'all see me?" Like, the doctor was at the window, and I remember seeing two boxes that had my daughter. It was like, and I remember seeing two boxes that had my daughter's name on there and my name, and there was like a old filing cabinet, and I felt like it was about my life, and I remember seeing my brother's kids there, and they're playing on the game, and I remember hearing the ventilator machine, but I didn't know what it was at first until I actually woke up and survived, and and I went to see what that noise was, and it was a ventilator machine. But it's kind of like comforting. It was kind of weird, but it was sort of like it was like that noise. The ventilator machine was sort of like one step of being alive. I mean, it was there. That was like it's just like the phone. It was sort of being there. You know what I mean? It was some sort of like being close to alive and death.
So I got a question for you. All of these thoughts that you were having, like, feeling like no one loves you, nobody wants you around and all that, were these thoughts that you had before this that you just never really voiced? And the second part is, has that changed since you've come back?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Like, I mean, all my life, I always felt like that, growing up, and now it's sort of like towards coming from my mother, side. I mean, sort of like don't talk to my mom. I talk to her just to get her out of the way. She's always doing some crazy stuff or saying some crazy stuff just to hurt me. That's how I felt from her. And it hasn't changed. You know. But going back to that, I don't know if to answer the question or not. But going back to that, I remember laying there, and I remember seeing the doctor. He was going in and out. Well, to me, it felt like he was messing around with the doctor. I seen her go. I seen him going to the bathroom to mess around with the doctor. And I remember, I remember him coming in and saying, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Of course I'm not okay." I couldn't talk, of course, but I was like, "Of course I'm not okay. Look at me, like." That's crazy. Why would you think I'm okay?
Yeah.
And I remember hearing my mom going, "Oh, when is he gonna wake up? When is he gonna wake up?" I remember hearing that. And then I remember I was on this vessel ship. Oh my god! But you know what the coolest thing was? Like it was sort of like it was like one of those ships. It was gold. I mean, like even like being in the captain's okay, it's like the Titanic. You know the Titanic's like
Right.
like the captains were in those things. It was like that, but it was all gold. It was plated gold, and I remember the doctor. He was just like, "Are you thirsty? You made it. Oh my god, you made it." I was just like, "I made it." I was like, I thought, but it was all telepathy way, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I made it. Cool." Like, I mean, hell yeah, So it it was cold that day. I remember it was cold that day. I could feel the coldness, and it went from that to being in like a lake, but it was like ice fishing. They were ice fishing, and later on, I known that I was talking to my fiance's grandfather that died. I didn't know that, and he was talking to me. They were all welcoming. They're like, "Hey, like here goes this." I couldn't eat though, mind you, and they were just like trying to feed me, welcome me, and everything. I didn't know this family. I didn't know what was going on, and they're showing me like I guess this guy used to be a seller, and in the back he was showing me like the a tugboat he always wanted. It's crazy. I remember my fiance showing me that when I lived. We're out and about. He's showing me about one of his family members always wanted a tugboat. And that was
Right.
back then, in like a long time ago. But he died already. But I remember. Okay, going back to that. Going back. I remember seeing that, and I was just like, wow. But when I was gonna about to leave that situation, when I was there, that welcoming situation, I remember they were putting their heads down like that, and all of a sudden I was wished away. I was wished away. You know, um, and I remember just sitting there, and I felt like I was done with. I was sitting there, and all of a sudden I was just like, go back on the bed. And all of a sudden it was the pure terror. It was terror. And I remember everything was just falling on top of me, papers and everything, everything. People were just throwing stuff on me, And then I remember people were just walking by like I was just nothing. Like that's how I felt in life, And then all of a sudden, these rows of people were sitting on this stump, wooden stump, and people were communicating with their loved ones, and I couldn't do it. They're like, you're not ready yet. You're not ready to communicate with them yet. Um, so then all of a sudden, I I was there, and I also went to this place, and it was pretty scary because I remember I was I was bent back like this, and there was a trash can that was in my back, and in this back there was this water all around me in the back, and then all of a sudden they were talking about the trait. They need to put a trait in me, so I could survive, and then all of a sudden, like my mom, my brother, and my sister, I could tell what they were wearing, and I even told them what they were wearing that day. It was crazy, and my brother had a Texas hat on, and they're having, my mom's always dressed up, and I remember the female doctors that I talked to when I came back, and they were there. They're like, well, we don't think he's gonna survive, like in reality, they were trying to transfer me to Austin, but if they moved me, I would have died. So they kept me, in Kyle. So they left me there, and so um I seen all that, and then I remember I was going, like, I mean, the water was just taking me to the other side. I could feel it. I could feel the sadness. I could feel like this is it. Like this is it. And all of a sudden, I felt like someone just lifted me up with the hand out of that water and sitting up like that. And I remember all these strings going out, like, and I remember like they're sitting me on my chair. It was crazy sitting me in a chair. And in this background, there was all this equipment, doctor's equipment, you know. With this doctor's equipment, um, I remember seeing my mom, my sister. They're I guess they're going to come visit. I guess. Well, that's what I was thinking. They back then they didn't let anyone go in the hospital, because of what happened. They
Right.
were sick. Um, but then they locked the door. The thing got jimmy. They're trying to jimmy the door. Then come see me. Inside in the front, it was a pulpit. It was like a church pulpit, but no one was there. So then that took me to to a house, and in this house there's these two people working on these computers, and on the other side of this window there was these two people, this older black guy, and there was this Hispanic little girl. They were constantly going back and forth, back and forth. And I was telling them, those two people, I was like, why are they like that? And they're like, they're waiting for God to come back to get them. And then, like, deep down, I knew that they're like, they were constantly in a loop, you know. Um, so then I mean, I looked around, and all of a sudden, I walked through this door. Well, I glide or whatever. I couldn't walk, but I glided through this door, and they were. It was weird because it felt like I was in someone's home. It felt like I was in my brother's friend's house. They were cooking barbecue. I could smell that. I mean, you could see it's weird. You could see their sofa. You could feel. I mean, you could see their family pictures. It's crazy. You could see like the stove. You could see. You didn't see anybody else there. So then all of a sudden, they my body got wheeled out from this freezer, and there was this dark shadow, and he pointed down like this, sort of saying, "Do you want to know more?" And so all of a sudden, I was just whooshed away. I was like, "Not yet." Yeah, that right there kind of scared me because I was just like, "Oh man." Like, I mean, you can't think of nothing. There's not much you could think about. Like, you're there. I mean, honestly, your mind is just like, your mind is just like, wow. It's like you're blown. Like you don't know. Like, and like everything. Like you know everything while you're there. You deserve to be there. You know. It's like I was raised as a Christian. I mean, I didn't know anything about being stuck in the place until God says, "Hey, you live or you die." You know what I mean? Like I was stuck in purgatory, and I was like, it was basically that. I was just a waiting room of, you know, me ready to go and come back. So um, I remember it took me to a place. It felt like I was snowed in somewhere. I don't know where it was. It was really this old town. I feel like it was old. And I remember going in this, it felt like a clothing store, in this big old pulpit, like tall. And my friend was there. I knew it was my friend, you know. And before I tell you the story, I got contact one of my friends that I knew in Austin. I used to work security with. Found out my friend died before I went to hospital. Before I went to that year with the hospital, I didn't know this. He had died of cancer. I didn't know this, and I seen him there, and he was constantly telling me to go take care of my daughter because my daughter was everywhere. Her mind's everywhere all the time. Um, and I remember seeing that I couldn't catch up with my daughter, and I remember seeing clothing store and everything. Then so my aunt, she suffered through the same thing, but it was after. I remember seeing her there, you know. And my aunt, my mom, they came around the corner and said, "Oh my God, you made it home! I can't believe it!" I mean, welcome back. You know, and I was just like, "Oh, I made it home again!" Like, oh man, it was crazy. So all of a sudden, like, I'm in this big old up. But remember that story I was telling you about? The story, but going back to where I was laying down and I was in this room. They were saying I had brain cancer or whatever.
Right.
What's wrong with me? I remember going back, and I remember seeing TV. I remember seeing, but I wasn't laying. I was laying down. I don't know if I was not, but I remember seeing this comfortable black chair, whatever, and a bathroom on one side, and I remember it was downstairs. To me, I was just like, I've been here in life before. I've been here, but I can't remember. So then all of a sudden, I felt like I needed to escape because they were up to no good. So then I got in this big old blimp. It was kind of crazy. I got a big old blimp. And these TVs in the blimp were just from the 1950s. And I remember somehow I called the cops or whatever. And I remember going to this it felt like it was a post office. I remember it landed and I see my mom and she was in the hospital. I seen the hallway where there's a doctor. A doctor was walking down the hallway, just ignoring me. And then I see my mom in the waiting room where the elevator was, like a post office. And she goes, "He's awake. Now I got to go back to work." So I said, "Okay, well then I'll go back then." Like, I mean, come on. I felt like I was annoyed. I was annoyed by her all the time. So then all of a sudden she leaves. I'm laying there, and somehow um, they're in this conference room with my mom and the post office guy, and they were up to no good. I felt that they were up to no good. And all of a sudden, this guy throws his hands up and goes, "I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm out of here. If y'all want to deal with the cops, deal with the cops." And I was just like, "Oh." I mean, I was blown. My mind was just like, what the hell's going on? Basically. And I remember just get a drink. um, I think when I was there, all I wanted was a glass of water. All I wanted was one sip of water, one sip of water, because you know, a lot of people talk about hell and everything, how they're burning in hell and everything, and they just want one sip of water and they don't get it. To me, my mouth was so dry, like I mean, I was I mean, my mind was just like tortured, and I remember them coming out with like weird masks, and they're like, Mom was like, "Oh my God, she's seeing what we're doing. He's seeing what we're doing. Let's cover this up," you know. And then I was done. I was just like, I mean, it took the life away from me. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't, Michael. I was done. And I remember, like I was going back like this and laying down, and God, I felt like He was there. I felt that loving kindness, man. He was just like, I seen his sandal, not the kind of sandals we got now these days, not flip flops or anything.
Yeah.
It was the old sandal of God, and I felt Him, but it felt like He was moving away from me. And I said, I'm tired. I want to go home. I'm tired. Basically, I said, don't move away from me, and he was also showing me. He showed me this tribal theme, like a song, like a beat, but with horns, like those old horns from back then, Jesus days, and it was a mixture of it. It was just booming, boom, boom, and he just kept on. He showed me a picture of my mom in a cloud, and my uncle. He's fine right now, but I don't know who's the guy in the wheelchair, and he kept on telling my mom. He kept on telling my mom. Their name was Rosa. He goes, "Don't walk away. Stop walking away from my son," basically. And then he looked at me. He goes, "Get up, get up." And this authority voice, "Get up, get up." And it felt like he was beating it. He was a beat to it. And he goes, "Family, family." Like basic. And I know what he was saying. Your new family comes first more than anything now. That person
Yeah.
walking away from you. He goes, "Family, family, family, get up, get up." And he goes, "Are you ready to come back?" I thought he meant, "Are you ready to go with him?" I was like, "Yeah," like the love and peace you feel for that man. I mean, it's just the kindness, the most wonderful feeling of this. I mean, compared to your mom giving you love, that man just takes over that.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, um, and all of a sudden, like I wake up, and when I woke up, it felt like all these cockroaches coming out of my mouth. But it was really like, all the tubes and everything. And they're like, "Mr. Alonzo, are you okay? Are you okay?" And the doctors was just stunned because I was on 5% of life. I would had double pneumonia, and um, he was amazed because it was 5%. I was dying, and I was breathing on my own. He was just shocked. He was just like, "Can you move your legs? Can you move your legs?" He was still shocked that the machine said 5% of life, and I came back. I remember seeing my mom, and I see my mom. I mean, the shit she's put me through death, and it was just a red flag. It was just like, "Nah, get away from me." Basically, it's just like, I don't want to see you. I honestly, I don't. The way God was showing me that, you know, in life, if this woman could get away with what she got away with, by keeping you sick, then like she could, but she can't now in real life. I mean, she's one of those ladies where it's just like, you got to stay away from her. I mean, she's an evil person inside. I hate that. I love my mom still, but I mean, like in real life, and she's really conniving. You can have the most beautiful day, and all of a sudden she's conspiring against you. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Oh
in
yeah.
real life, and it's crazy. But I remember waking up. It was going good. About not going good. I remember seeing my fiance came and everything. I was so excited. She came and everything, and I thought, in my mental state, that was she left a million messages for me. You know, um, I also forgot that when I was in the coma, I felt her torture because they wouldn't give her updates they wouldn't give her updates about me when I was in coma, so I felt her pain. And also she also seen she also seen me at her door when I the day before I woke up, and I remember she had a dream that that I woke up and I did the next day, and she heard me talking to her. And when the day before I woke up, she heard me talk to her and peek around her corner of her room, and I think that was God telling her everything's gonna be okay. I don't think it's anything malicious or anything, But I remember getting out of bed. I remember getting out of bed. I couldn't even lift my bed off the pillow. That's how weak I was. My right arm, I couldn't lift it. My right leg, I couldn't lift it. I remember seeing the same nurses, seeing the same doctors. I remember it was weird. Like I remember seeing everybody there. You know, the one I didn't mention. There's something I didn't mention when I was in coma. There was this Japanese girl that I did see scared the shit out. Oh, sorry, She scared me because I remember when I was in coma, she got on top of me and she was ripping out my cord out of my throat, and she was the most blackest eyes ever. She was like, "This needs to be done," basically, in that voice, and she was just ripping out. So she came in the room and I was just like, "Whoa," you know what I mean, like. And then she goes,
Hey, you're real.
"Yeah." She goes, "I know you from somewhere, don't I?" And then that curly hair girl, I don't think I ever seen her before ever. I think she was an angel though. I think she was an angel looking after me. It felt that. But I see. And then there was this other nurse that took care of me when I was on a ventilator, and I seen her on the other side. And she goes, "Hey, what's up? I've always been here." I couldn't talk because I had a tray to me. They gave me a little thing for until because they're like plastic little things they're putting here
Yeah.
so they can help me. They can help me like so they can put a feeding tube down. And when I got one, I was telling her, I said, she goes, "How's it going?" I was talking to that it was a little thing they put it to talk. I sound like a damn robot at first. So you can look on YouTube. You can hear me talk through it. I got a video of it, and I remember she coming to me and she was all like, I was like, "So how's that house?" I said, "So how's your house in the wilderness?" She goes, "How do you know I lived? How do you know I have a house in the wilderness?" Like she was just like, "Wow." She goes, "It was crazy, man." I mean,
Yeah.
I remember I was in the hospital. I was in the hospital bed one night, and one day, and the electricity went off. I feel like I was awake already, and I remember the hospital lights went. I mean the electricity went off. Doctors weren't anywhere to be seen, and then to me deep down I was like, "Man, I'm alone." At that time I couldn't talk. They were trying to give it a break, like with talking. And then all of a sudden in the back of my bed, I felt a little girl go, "I'm here." And I'm just like, "What the freak?" And then I remember something slithering on the ground, and it was saying, and it told me, "You see me, don't you?" And I was like, "Nope, I don't see you." It was weird. Um, and this is when I was up. They were changing me. I was awake and everything, and I couldn't talk. And I don't know if I was on a ventilator or not. I can't remember this part, but I don't know if I was in a coma or I was awake. I remember they were complaining about the husbands that they don't bring them lunch and they got to go to Whataburger and everything. So I don't know if I was awake then or I was under delirium or I was in the coma. And I remember it was weird. I think I was in the coma. I'm not sure about this one, but I remember they were on lockdown. I guess this guy escaped or whatever. This guy they put him in handcuffs, and then I remember seeing through my door. I think I wasn't in a coma, but I remember seeing chains. They chained my door up, yeah, they were just changing me, whatever. And I was just joking, and I kind of like seen the same people that night when I did wake up, and I was telling them about that because I was talking to my little trade thing. And they're like, "How did you know? How did you know we were complaining about our freaking husbands?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, it was, man." going through physical therapy now. I mean, I'm still going through physical therapy, but walking with two canes now, and I mean, it's still a journey. I lost a lot of weight, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, it's crazy. I lost like 80 pounds, you know, and I mean, through that, like, and it's been a journey, you know. It's crazy. Like, you know, I really know how it felt to be on the other side, but you
Yeah.
know, it's
And
wild.
I got a couple questions for you,
Yeah, go ahead.
actually. You mentioned in the beginning the phone and how it was ringing and everything. Did you ever answer it, or did the phone just disappear?
That was mainly my fiance calling me, you know, always leaving me a message, you know, saying that she
Okay.
loved me and everything, you know. I never heard those messages ever because my mom and sister wanted me nosy and they took my phone away and they buy me a new phone just to be, you know, nosy people. But my fiance saved the messages for me, so she played them all when I woke up. So you know,
Well, that's
um,
cool. And
if it wasn't for her and God, I wouldn't be here, and all the prayers, you know. But go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I was just going to say my second question is for a matter of perspective because we're talking about you being in a coma and all of this going on. Were you in a coma for
A
like
month.
a week, a month? Okay.
Yeah, a month. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that I at first I didn't know. I mean, that's the most weirdest thing. I mean, for a whole month, I remember waking up and the doctors are like, "You've been in a coma for a month," and I'm just like, "What?" You know, they're explaining what happened to me and everything. And at first, I thought I was in an accident. I mean, the way it was portrayed to me on the other side. And then I was just like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, you can't move your arm. You'll be okay with physical therapy and everything." They're just telling me all that, and it was double pneumonia. My lungs were failing. I was at 5%. I was close to death the whole time. Um, it was a miracle, you know. Like, I still struggle. I still struggle with a lot, you know. You
Hmm.
know, being forgetful and everything, you know, and
Well, I'm glad you're back.
yeah, it changed me a lot. I mean, I'm still trying to, you know, think if I should go back to interviewing, but knowing the stuff that I know now, it's like, you know, I don't know what really speaks through the spirit boxes. I mean, now, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's like when someone dies, they're going through their own demise, basically. You know, I don't know. I mean, there is some things that are unknown out there. There are spirits that do attach things, and you know that's their own sin. That's the reason why God has them there for a reason. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's their death. My death is different than anybody else's death. You know, um,
Right.
I can't say. I can't say. You know, I can't say certain things right now. But all I know is that that's the reason why God has them there is because of that. You
Yeah.
know, like all those traumatic incidences where people die. You know, like on the battlefields and everything. It's not them. You know, it's not them doing it. It's just a replay. And um I mean, those
I got,
things, I want to say those things. I'm not going to say it, but those things, they mimic them because they like that kind of stuff, you know.
oh yeah,
They
they
like to
feed
make
off of
fun of
it.
it, you know. And um it's more like be right by God. And I mean, like, now, I mean, sometimes I think to myself, I'm just like, wow, like I get interviewed a lot, um like it's more like, I mean, I know I didn't see, you know God's eyes or God's hair, or or angels or anything, but I mean, he was there with me, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna offer a piece of advice because you were saying you didn't know if you were going to go back to interviewing or not, if you were open to it.
I don't know, like I'm thinking about doing something else, but
Oh,
that's
I
kind of
meant
like
the advice. If you were open to
I'm sorry.
receiving advice, I wasn't
Yeah,
saying
go
go
ahead.
back
I'm
to
open to it.
doing it.
I'm
I
open to
meant,
it. Yeah.
but the advice I would give you is from a matter of my perception, and this is my view and opinion. Don't take it for what it is, but you went into this wanting answers to a question. You got the answers to the question. Maybe this journey has ended of that topic, and now it's time for a new topic to come up. And so maybe that's why you're like, whenever you talk about, coming back to interviewing the paranormal and everything, you're like, yeah, I might. Well, maybe your journey in the paranormal is kind of concluded for you, and it's
Yeah.
ready for you to jump to and create a new show, reinvent yourself, or or approach it in another way.
Yeah. It's more like, I mean, I still think I still talk to God, like, my mind, I'm just like, I'll let him lead me the way, it's more like trying to enjoy my life right now. Like, I mean, I'm trying to decipher that of what God was saying to me about, family, 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 like, it's, I mean, like, it's a new life for me, and I mean, I'm still thinking about how I can reinvent myself. After everything what I went through is very traumatic. I still have my nightmares about it. I like to share one nightmare with you. There's this. I'm in this. I still have a lot of them, but there I was. I'm. I'm in this building, and these things are, trying to attack my fiance. And I remember fighting for her, but I remember I'm in this. I'm in this cold freezer, and then all of a sudden I'm getting through all these bodies and everything, and then all of a sudden there's this thing with this fork like this going, like fork sharpening his knives and everything, like, and I still have those nightmares. I still have those nightmares of falling down the building and these evil things going, still trying to attack me, but I'm like, Jesus, 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 help me, you know what I mean? Like, and then I had to go back in the building, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I still have these nightmares of things that I don't remember, but then I do now. I mean, and it's mainly just getting through some of the stuff,
Right.
maybe talk about my experience, but I just don't want to be a broken record. But at the same time, it's just like, I mean, I see a lot of people, they throw out Bible verses, and I know my experience ain't in the Bible, but I feel that God was showing me for a reason. I actually came across some people that, um, there was this one that I could talk about now. When I was in the coma, I was laying in bed, and I remember I was this guy, and he because I was talking to him a while back, and I was in this gas station bathroom, and these things were telling him, if we help you, we need to go do things. So then I was in this hospital bed, and that was in the coma, by the way, and so I kind of catched up with this guy a while back. He kind of blocked me, by the way, but was kind of freaked out about everything because he told me that he went through this episode where his wife left him and everything, and didn't see his kids no more, and he kind of lost it and everything, and
Yeah.
so he ended up going into a hospital. So that dream was for him, and sort of like they were just. I always say there were visions, but for some visions, it's like, I'm just like, okay, like, a man,
Yeah.
yeah,
And Eli, I'm gonna mention something to you is when you say like you're worried about sounding like a broken record sharing this story.
yeah,
I have found from my own experiences, the more you talk about it, the more memories of it unlock.
yeah.
And so you're not being a broken record.
Mhm.
It's you're remembering what you remember, and then there's new pieces
Yeah.
that will unfold. And so it's how the process works is
Mm.
you're it's your way of training your mind to
Yeah.
go and say, okay, yeah, oh, and like you were saying, oh yeah, and then this, I remember this now,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like, and then when you finally get the whole memory back, then
Yeah.
you can sit there and go, okay, yeah, I can talk about this part or that part, but
Mhm.
in the meantime, as you're unlocking, I
Mhm.
would just let it
Yeah.
do what it's doing.
it could resonate with people. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
like me going down this hallway, I can't remember it. I mean, I blocked it for some reason. There was this one point where I was hanging on pipes, and I can't remember walking down this corridor, and I'm just like, okay, why was it blocked? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
um,
have blocked memories too, and I used to stress about it, and then I just gave up and just figured, it's either one, blocked for a reason, two, blocked because something has my higher good in store and they blocked it, and when I'm ready, it'll be unblocked. And
yeah,
three is just trusting that if I'm meant to know it, I'll know it, and if not, then it remains blocked, and I'm okay with that.
yeah. I mean, with me, like, I mean, with all those experiences, like, it's more like, I mean, like, I just don't know what to start, basically. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know what to start, like, talking about it again, you know.
I think you
Um,
did just fine. I think you did perfectly, and I
thanks.
mean, there were little times where I interrupted just because
That's okay.
to explain, to people where we were at, and
Yeah,
uh, otherwise, I was like, yeah, the way you told it was perfect, and
yeah,
I would say, yeah, keep it up because I think everybody will find pieces of it that'll say, oh, that reminds me of this, and will unlock maybe stuff for them and
yeah,
benefit them.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
And I mean, to be honest, I only brought up the phone because I thought it was interesting that you talked about the phone, but then you never talked about it again. But we were going to all these places. I was like, well, what's the
Well,
phone
I mean,
God? Was the
I was
phone,
trying to.
something, what was the phone? And it was like, then I had to
Well,
say to myself, wait,
yeah,
what's the phone? The phone's not
it was
the point.
familiar. It was just a familiar thing. I was getting to it. It was just a familiar, you know, thing to be connected to the other side,
Yeah.
basically. You know,
But
it was.
the other thing I noticed, though, that was really cool about your story is every time something was of like high vibration or like Christ energy or God or positive,
Yeah.
you would always frame it in gold. It was
Yes.
like you would say this was gold, and it's like
Yeah.
in my mind I'm going, okay, so this is going to be a good thing coming up.
Yeah. It was. I
And
mean,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, when it came to the gold, I mean, it's just a vibration of like that.
right,
It's a vibration. It's a vibration of, that was a positive thing. I mean, like, offering this, offering you the water and the food, but not yet, because there was more to that journey that had to be shown. The one I also missed is it's crazy, but I wanted to say this, but it's just like it was kind of like weird. But I remember being um, I remember because everybody knows me. I love pizza, basically, and I remember this was in the coma. I remember there was this guy. I was this guy where I owned this pizza thing. You know what I mean? Like, and I was in I was, but there was this lady. But to me, I feel like I had long nails, but whatever. But there was this lady on top that kept on telling me to shut up, and everything was in white. You know what I mean? Like, and um and there was these other like rooms I can't remember, but then yeah, that was just something. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
But
just crazy. Yeah,
yeah, we're running over time here.
it's okay.
So are you wanting people to reach out to you?
Oh,
You
that's
know,
fine. Yeah,
so
that's
then
okay.
where can people find you?
If you don't mind sharing my link, my YouTube link, and um I'm on Twitter as well at efamily 1983 on
Okay.
Twitter. So if anyone has any questions, I didn't really go on about like how it felt, and like sadness and everything. But I mean, that was just, yeah. I think it
Yeah.
was like sad, but exciting. But at the end,
Right.
you know, like, you know, God is good, you know, and um,
I believe all those links are in the description.
okay, cool, awesome.
And so, with us ending the show here, what is one pearl of wisdom that you feel like, from your experience, you feel like would resonate for everyone to hear?
That a lot of people think, a lot of say, is there um, is there is there someone up there looking down? Yes, there is. And you know, like, we live on. We, even if we pass in this earth, we still look over our loved ones. You know, even though we don't feel them or hear them, they see you. Not in the shower, but they see you. You know, I got to throw that out. You know, but you know, all the paranormal people ask that.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
do they look at me when I'm taking the bathroom break, or you know? But all I'm saying is, God loves you, and you know, like, and just be right by God at the end, and you know, and He is love, you know, and I appreciate you sharing my story and letting me include God in it, because if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't have that paranormal. We wouldn't have that at all, you know, and I know how it feels to be treated like some investigators do the wrong things, you know, and don't respect the spirits. I one more word for you, cut off. When I was on their side, my saying was, if you can listen, you can hear me. That's my last word.
that's beautiful, because I think a lot of investigators don't really listen. They're so focused on certain things that they miss things, and
Yeah,
so that's a great piece of wisdom right there. Is, yeah,
yeah,
if you listen, you'll hear me.
yeah. So I appreciate
Well,
you having me, and I appreciate
yes, and thank you for coming on and sharing your story. And I am personally, I'm glad to see you're back and you're getting better and you're
it. Oh yeah,
going through everything to get everything back. And
very hard, but getting there.
yes, and say hello to your fiance and family for me. And with that, we are going to say good night to everyone. So wherever you are in the world, make it a blessed day, afternoon, evening. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you on the next episode.